I don't know about you, but I love starting off my day with eggs, sausage, and toast. I just tried Jones Dairy Farm's all-natural breakfast sausage, and it is delicious. They make premium crafted, all-natural meat, and 100% of products are made in the USA. And y'all, they have so many options: pork, chicken, turkey, or center-cut Canadian bacon. So check out their product finder on jonesdairyfarm.com to find out where to find Jones near you. Just off the Texas coast sits a unique beach town marked with salty vibes and sun-soaked memories. Port Aransas is a place where family traditions unfold naturally, and beauty lies both in island views and the unhurried moments between adventures. One visit, and you'll see why generations of Texans have anchored their traditions to the island life. Start your new favorite family tradition in Port Aransas, Texas. Go to visitportaransas.com and plan your visit to Austin's beach. Texans are notoriously friendly, but in this day and age, are we still taking the time to talk to strangers? Today on CityCast Austin, we revisit a conversation about KUT's podcast series, 24 Hours in Austin, that takes listeners along as they spend a full day in spots around town chatting up new people. And y'all, it's awesome. It's Thursday, June 5th. I'm Nikki Devon, and this is what Austin's talking about. Hello, I am here today with Matt Largey, who is the projects editor at KUT and has this awesome podcast called 24 Hours in Austin. So I read that one of the inspirations for this podcast was an episode of This American Life called 24 Hours at the Golden Apple, where they interviewed people at a Chicago diner over a 24-hour period of time. Why did you want to create this in Austin?
I don't know. I mean, ever since I heard that episode, I mean, God, that episode must be 25 years old maybe at this point.
At least. Yeah.
You know, I think at the time it just like really kind of captured my imagination. It's like what's possible, just like sitting in one place with a microphone and seeing what happens. You know, a lot of times you do an audio project or whatever, and you're just like, okay, I've got this plan and this is going to happen and I'm going to talk to this person and they're going to tell me this and then we'll wrap it all up in a nice little bow. I was like, but the thing about this style, I guess, is just like you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yes.
Like you just go into it and you're just rolling and whatever happens and you capture it.
I love it.
And something, whether or not something happens, but it does.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I mean, that's inevitable because people are going to be people. Yeah.
Exactly. And if no matter where you go, you can find interesting people. And honestly, if you're standing there with a microphone, interesting people are probably going to approach you.
They are absolutely going to approach you because they want to know why you have this microphone. They want to know what's going on.
Exactly. Curious people attract curious people.
Okay, so one of the first episodes y'all released was recorded on 6th Street during South by Southwest, which is just like a very specific time and place in our city. So tell us about like what happened there over 24 hours.
Well, I mean, I think part of it was, we just talked to a lot more out-of-towners. I guess maybe 50% of the people that we talked to, they're out-of-towners, which is great because, people come to town and they're part of our city for a time.
Yeah.
And they add to the vibe and they add to whatever's going on. And, specifically during South by Southwest, a lot of it is out-of-towners doing their thing.
It's a big part of who we are.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, it is a very specific time and place in Austin, but I think it's one that's become a lot of people's entry to Austin. Over the years, I can't remember how many times I've talked to somebody who said, I came here for South by Southwest one year and I was like, oh, I got to move here.
Yep.
Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But like it is it's a good entry point into Austin. It's not necessarily reflective of what happens here 365 days a year.
Exactly. Every time I meet someone that says that, I'm like, no, come Come back in the summer.
Yeah.
Come back in the summer. That's when you want to come back to see if you can live here.
That's right. Yeah, that's what separates the true Austinites from the South by Southwest Austinites.
The thing that stands out is that people are so ready to talk. To your point, you have a microphone. People are curious, and I don't think it's maybe just because it was on 6th Street. I could be wrong. Were you surprised at all at how openly people shared some pretty intimate details with somebody that was just like holding a mic that they just met? Were you surprised by that?
I was 100% surprised by that. In the time that I spent in the field, this goes for not just 6th Street, but all the other places that we went to later in the podcast series. Not a single person said no, they wouldn't talk to me.
Really? Not one?
Yeah, not one. And I was just like,
what?
Really? Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. I want to be accurate about this. There was one person in the middle of the night on 6th Street who said they wouldn't talk to me. But it was like 3 a.m. And so like, I totally get why you wouldn't want to talk to a stranger at 3 a.m.
Yeah, it's fair.
But like nowhere else did anyone ever say, no, get out of here. They're all just like, yeah, what are you doing? Let's talk.
You seem definitely like a person that's really easy to talk to. But I also think that Austinites are just curious and nice, and they want to know what's happening, and there's always something happening in the city, so they're like, well, what are you doing? What is this for? And it makes it seem very easy.
You know, if you approach it as just like being another human being, I guess, like, and that maybe I'm oversimplifying it here, but like, not to say that reporters aren't human beings, but like, if you just kind of are casual about it, then, you know, I think people are a lot more receptive to, you know, to just giving you a shot. Like, you know, they may not go there with you. You may ask personal questions and they may not want to go there, but they'll at least like maybe hear you out if you're just, you know, like a normal human being.
Yeah. People want to chat. They're chatty.
It does. And, you know, but I think people are looking for an excuse to chat. Like, you know, I've been here for about 20 years. I think Austinites have gotten, I don't want to say shyer, but like gotten just less willing to engage off the bat with somebody, like to make the first move, I guess.
Yeah, you're blowing my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it just comes with being a bigger city.
Yeah.
They just want an excuse to talk to somebody. And if you give them that excuse, if you make the first move, I think it just like really helps people open up.
I think you're right about that, actually. You know, 10 years ago, I couldn't go anywhere without some random person talking to me. I'm not alone in that, just because we're friendly. Yeah. So, okay, as a part of this project, I'm sure you saw some aspects of the city and met some people that maybe you never encountered before or you wouldn't have encountered otherwise. What are some unexpected things you learned about the city or the people in the city?
One of the episodes was at Bennu Coffee on Riverside and Congress. I did an overnight shift there. And I'm talking for myself. There's like 15 producers who worked on this. So like, I'm sure they'd all have a different answer, but there was a guy who I saw in the corner of the coffee shop, just kind of sitting off by himself at like, I don't know, it had to be 2 a.m. And he was drawing something on a napkin. With a pen. And, you know, I kind of like tried to look over his shoulder a little bit, but it was hard to be inconspicuous about it because he was like the only person over there. And so he was drawing with like this really intricate drawing of like a skull, basically. And, you know, so I asked him like, hey, what are you doing? And like, this guy had like tattoos all over his face. Like he was a guy that I would like, normally, because of whatever biases that I have of my own, like normally a guy that I would not like approach on the street. But when I sat down and I talked to that guy, he was like so willing to just tell me about his whole life and like a really interesting life. Like, you know, he'd been in and out of prison. He was living on the streets at the time. You know, he told me about like relationships that he'd had and mistakes that he'd made in those relationships, and like regrets that he had. And
wow,
just like went so much deeper than I expected him to, which is like, that's my own fault for not expecting that. But
right,
like,
right, yeah.
he just went there, and I was just, I learned a lot about this guy. But I guess I also just learned a lot about not letting my expectations like dictate what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Just approach the person that you don't expect to even talk to you.
Right. Right. Because the worst they can do is tell you to fuck off. Like that. Or,
yes.
Yeah, that's it. Then you won't know until you try.
Yeah. And how bad is that? It's not that bad. It hurts for a second, but
yeah.
And so like in terms of what I learned, I learned about setting my own expectations, but also just just like the city is full of, and I'm sure this is true for any city, but the city is just full of interesting people who have a story to tell. There's this dumb, the dumb cliche, like everybody's got a story or whatever, but it's I don't know, it's true.
It's true.
It really is. And if people are willing to tell you their story, I think it's worth listening to people's stories.
How did you get them to start talking?
I think a lot of it, if you approach somebody and say, tell me a story about yourself, they I think and the same thing would happen with me, honestly, just freeze up.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, So, I mean, the way that I and most of the other producers approach people would just hey, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what's going on? And it's start with the softball and get them kind of warmed up.
Mm-hmm.
And then look for an opening, look for, you're juggling or whatever. Yeah, you're drawing. Hey, what are you drawing? What's up with that? Why a skull? Why are you drawing it on a napkin?
Yeah.
And I don't know, when I asked that guy why he was drawing a skull, he's like, oh, I'm a tattoo artist. I'm like, oh, okay. So that kind of led to the next thing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you just kind of follow the breadcrumbs, I guess. Start with the softball and then follow the path where it goes.
Oh, yeah, that takes skill. I love that. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious because, not to sound super woo-woo, but I feel like the majority of us have a little bit of empath in all of us, right? And so what is it like? And I guess, what's it like when you're in these situations, holding space for people, telling you these really intimate, private things? How do you take care of yourself in those moments and not just completely be like, oh my God, this poor person? Because that's what I would do. I would be thinking about that man, especially knowing that he was unhoused at the time. I wouldn't have been able to get him out of my brain. You know what I mean? How do you navigate that?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. He's stuck with me. I mean, he's still in here. I mean, doing any kind of journalism or documentary, you have to just feel, you have to keep an arm's length distance from the people that are involved. And that's really hard.
Yeah.
Because they're giving you something.
Right.
And I am taking that something and not really giving anything in return. I mean, I guess, in a way, maybe it's cathartic to tell these stories to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's just what I tell myself to make it feel better.
I don't know. I believe in that. I think there's power in that exchange. I think there's power in the exchange of conversation and finally having somebody really just sit and listen to you and pay attention to you. Because how often do we get the opportunity for someone to listen to us undistracted?
Yeah, that's true.
Undistracted by the phone, undistracted by whatever is happening. So there's a little bit of power in that, I think.
You're right. That's true. And the act of listening one-on-one is important, but then also the just giving people, making them feel like their story is important.
Yes.
Important enough to record and then put out into the world.
Hell yeah.
I think that is important. I don't know. It just speaks to our need to be, to be
connected.
Connected and to be part of something in the world.
Yeah. That's why this is why I love this idea. I'm obsessed with this. I was talking to a friend of mine. I have a friend who comes into town once or twice a year. He's one of those people. He's a nomad. He's a contracted X-ray technician or I don't know, something. He's always on different contracts. He has been all over the world, like just all over the world. And as someone who likes her roots, it is difficult for me to understand how someone is just like never really interested in putting down roots. And so I was talking to him the last time he was here, and I was just like, I need you to help me understand. What's going on?
How do you do it?
How do you do it? And he said, my favorite thing in the world is to sit across a table from somebody that I don't know, that I haven't been with for the past 10 years of my life, and figure out who they are. Who are you? How did you get here? What are you doing in Portland? What are you doing? And you have a couple of drinks and you get this person's story and they get your story. And now you've connected with someone who's just not anyone. They're just not like you at all. Or I could stay in the same place, talk to the same people who have similar experiences as me, and that could be my life. And I was like, oh, ouch.
Well, when you put it that way, it sounds boring.
But I mean, this is what this podcast reminds me of. It's just like this opportunity to talk to all these people that I would never get an opportunity to sit across the table from unless I did what you did and do the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. What do former President Lyndon B. Johnson and the movie Jaws, yes, that Jaws, have in common? A new exhibit at the LBJ Presidential Library. Before he wrote Jaws, Peter Benchley was President Johnson's speechwriter, and this temporary exhibit is all about Benchley's journey from the White House to best-selling novelist to ocean conservationist. Talk about a fascinating career. Don't miss this chance to learn all about Benchley and Johnson's environmental legacy, how Jaws changed our understanding of sharks, and much more. From the White House to the deep ocean, LBJ, Jaws, and Conservation will be at the LBJ Presidential Library from now through October 19th. Find out more about the exhibit at lbjlibrary.info/Jaws. I love going out to eat, but my budget does not always agree. The In-Kind app gives me 20% back in dining credit every time I dine out. Yeah, you heard that right. So that means every time I eat at a restaurant from the app, I get 20% credit for the next time. More money for dining out? Yeah, sign me up. Plus, the app helps me find new restaurants, bars, and cafes to try right here in Austin. And if you're traveling around the country, In-Kind has locations nationwide. Since you're a CityCast listener, we have an exclusive deal just for you. $25 off your bill of $50 or more at any location on the In-Kind app. To get your $25 off your next bill, go to inkind.vip/ATX. That's inkind.vip/ATX. Can you reveal where you chose to record each episode, or how you chose to record it?
Yeah, sure. Well, in terms of how we chose to record, how we chose where to record, it's there's not a lot of places that are populated in Austin 24 hours a day anymore.
Right.
I mean, people remember that there used to be 24-hour diner, Kirby used to be 24 hours.
Magnolia.
Yeah. There are places you could go, but now it's IHOP. That's one of the few. Denny's, I guess. Is our Denny's open 24 hours? I think it might be, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. We narrowed it down to maybe 20 options. And then, we went through and we're like, okay, who's going to give us permission? If it's private property, are they going to allow us to come and do this? And some people said no. And, that's fine. They have good reasons for that. I mean, if I was a business owner or something, I might not want reporters at my location 24 hours a day. You never know what's going to happen. And so basically these are the ones that just kind of panned out. We chose 6th Street during South by Southwest, and then we went to the airport for 24 hours.
Ooh, smart.
Yeah. A lot of people there overnight who don't want to be there. We went to, as I mentioned, Banu Coffee at Riverside and Congress. And then we went to the 911 call center and hung out with the folks who answer mental health calls for 24 hours. Yeah.
What?
So that one's a little different than the rest of them.
I love that, though. I love that.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. So to your point, so like after the pandemic, we lost a lot of those places. Like, you know, Starseeds closed. Starseeds. This is the thing. It's like I remember staying up, pulling all-nighters for college at Starseeds. And they would go and let me sit in that back room. And as long as every now and then I got coffee or a donut or something, they would just let me stay there.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only student that they've let do that. How do you think this loss of 24-hour options has changed the feel of the city?
I don't know that it has changed it, but I think it might, maybe it has, but I think it's more of like a symptom of how Austin's changed, you know? Like these were the places where, like, I don't know what your experience was like at Starseeds when you were pulling an all-nighter, but you would, I mean, just like the weirdest things would happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And like, it's like, where do you go for weird things to happen anymore? And I'm not saying this in like a keep Austin weird kind of way, but I'm saying it just in like an interesting city kind of way. It's like, how do you meet people who are outside of your sphere anymore? And it's like 24-hour places are just such good place because, you know, you got your drunks and you've got your, you've got your, I don't know, cops. You've got all kinds of different people.
Everybody.
Just coming through here, and like losing that is just like, to me, is just, it's so sad.
It's very sad.
It's so sad.
I went from being the student watching all of the like weirdos come in after last call to being one of those weirdos.
Yes.
Yes. After last call.
Everyone makes that transition at some point.
Everybody makes that transition. And I also remember like a couple of times, like, you know, I'm a creative, so I've always got on some sort of costume or, I don't know, some wig or something. And after a while, I remember people at Starseeds, like, every time you come in here, you're with a different band of weirdos with some sort of costume on. And I'm like, that's the thing. It's like, either it's something like that, or it's, to your point, it's like a cop, or it's a student, or it's like Starseeds. I saw some weird shit at Starseeds.
I bet.
Some wonderful, weird shit. Also, the Magnolia on Lake Austin. Saw some wonderful, weird shit there, too. Yep. Yeah. I think there's definitely a space that I wish we could get back in some sort of way.
Yeah. I mean, I just, I don't know. Where do all those people go now? Do they go to IHOP? I mean, like... I
don't know. Do you know that the last time I went to an IHOP, Matt, it was the IHOP on 35 and Cesar Chavez. Yep. I saw a full-on physical fight between someone that worked there and one of the patrons, and I was like, "Yep, this tracks." It's about 2:45. People get punchy, and I have not been back to an IHOP since.
That's fair enough. You're not missing a lot.
I know.
Except maybe some fights.
Except some fights.
Yeah.
I might peek my head in it every now and then. But so this podcast captures people in a particular moment in Austin, but you came to Austin in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think it would have been like if you'd have done this project back then?
Oh, man. Like, we might have gone to different places. Obviously we would have had a lot more options, but I don't know if the outcome would have been that much different. It's like, people are still people.
Yeah.
We definitely met plenty of, like, quote unquote weirdos out there on the street, or at any of the locations that we went to. I don't think it would have been that different.
Yeah.
People still have stories to tell, and people have their own quirks and eccentricities that, like, I don't know, I think it still comes out. Even if maybe it's less public, if you like search out those folks, if you just talk to enough people, you find them. And so I don't know that it would have been that much different. Might have had fewer tech bros, I guess.
Oh, the tech bros.
God love you, tech bros.
God, I mean, listen, I know you got to be here just like everybody else, but Jesus Christ. I'm going to ask a B question kind of to that. So what is a place that in Austin that was open 24 hours that you would want to resurrect to record an episode? Or a current place that you wish was open 24 hours to record it?
Okay, what would I wish was open 24 hours? That feels cliche.
I'm so curious what feels cliche.
I was going to say Barton Springs, but that's like super cliche, I think.
Okay, but hear me out, though.
Yeah.
Hear me out. A bunch of people sitting around by the water, hanging out. It's dark.
Yeah.
I kind of love that. Like, to go from daytime Barton Springs to late night Barton Springs.
I would love to see who's swimming in Barton Springs at 3 a.m.
I would too. I don't think that's cliche at all. I think that's a solid. That's a solid response, I think.
Okay. All right. Now I want to think of a more off the wall one though.
When I thought about this question, the first thing that came to my mind was the Bob Bullock Museum.
Oh my God.
Or just like any museum. Like if you could just like post up outside of either the Blanton or the Bob Bullock Museum for 24 hours and just like knowing that it's open and there's an exhibit and just seeing what kind of people who would come to a museum at 3 a.m. I know a lot of people that would.
I would go, especially if they had like some cool overnight, like, laser show or something. I don't know.
I would absolutely go.
Yeah. The other place that I wish was open 24 hours that, well, we were going to try and go there, but they said no. I would like to spend 24 hours in an H-E-B.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Is there a 24-hour H-E-B? I don't think there is.
There used to be. I don't think there is anymore.
Yeah. That one on Old Turf used to be 24 hours, I think.
Do you know how much shopping I would get done?
I know.
If an H-E-B was open 24 hours?
Yeah.
As it is, I don't like to go before the hour of 10 p.m. But if it was
that is the golden hour for grocery shopping. You're right.
It's a golden hour. Oh, H-E-B is a good one. Yeah. H-E-B is a really good one. Okay, I think the only other one that I would say is City Hall.
Yeah. That would actually be really fun to just see what happens there in the middle of the night.
I mean, listen, I used to work there. So I've been there in those late nights when council meetings go late and it gets pretty loopy and pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
It gets pretty, it's dodgy. It's a little dodgy. People get a little slap happy. Yeah.
It seems like they don't have those like late night meetings anymore though, which, I used to, I mean, I know the council hated it, but like, I thought they were great. Because it's like you just have this parade of citizens, giving testimony, and like the council just like growing more and more frustrated and irate as time went on.
Man, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. The few times it happened while I was there, I was like, "Yep, here all night. Brought my pajamas, brought my blanket. I'm ready to stay. I got snacks. I can do this all night." Everybody's pissed off and angry. I love it. I love it. I was the only one. Everybody else hated it. But
everybody else hated it. Yeah. They're like, I want to go home.
So what are you hoping the Austinites take away from the podcast?
In my like dream world, it would be like people make the first move, like they talk to the person sitting next to them on the bus, like just ask them, they're knitting something. Hey, what are you knitting? Who's that for? Or whatever, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know, just like engage with each other a little bit more. People are like craving that connection. I'm not going to like be like an old man and say like, oh, social media has ruined everything and like, oh, blah, blah, blah. But like, I think people are craving that kind of in-person connection and they don't always know how to make it happen. And so like just being curious about each other and asking somebody a question and having a conversation with them, like I think that's really important and that people should do that more.
I think you're right. I've found I spend, depending on who you ask, probably too much time in bars. But I do feel like
there's no such thing.
I feel like what I found and I'm finding is happening often is alcohol makes people feel a little more courageous to talk and chat to each other. And so, great example, literally last night I was at Cavalier and some friends and I were talking, and then we were talking about chickens and how, in the country, you wring chickens' necks. That's how I grew up. My grandma, she would just like flip her wrist and wring chickens' necks. And so that's what we were talking about, and like the horror of it. And a very nice random man was like, it's like he heard his entry and he had just enough booze, he had just enough like confidence to like, birds are blind. And then he goes into this long thing about birds. And all of us at the table were like, oh, that's what's up. Yeah. We're like, this is great. And he like popped in, educated us. We had a cute little conversation. He lost his place in line. He didn't care, and we all talked. And then that was it. And it was nice. And we introduced ourselves. And now when I see that man again, I'm absolutely going to say hello because this is the bird guy. And I don't even remember his name at this point, but he's the bird guy. And so
you're going to ask him about chickens or birds or something.
I'm going to ask him about chickens or birds or something. And I think that is it's a special thing. I think it's a special thing because I'm an extrovert. But like, I think it's special when people feel like, hey, I know you're not talking to me, but did you know this, and this? I love those exchanges.
I mean, it feels like a neighborhood, right? It feels like a community.
Does.
It feels like we're part of something together when you know something about the people that you see in your lives.
Yeah. And it does not happen enough, I don't think. I think you're right. Yeah. So y'all talk to each other. That's what everybody should do this week. Like, everybody talk to a stranger. Be careful.
Just
talk
one.
To a stranger.
Just one.
Just one. So is there anything else we should know about the 24 Hours in Austin podcast?
Yeah, no, I got
Just
nothing.
Listen to it.
Just listen to it.
Dive into it.
It's wherever you get podcasts. It's wherever you got this podcast. It's also there.
Matt, thank you so much for being here with me. This has been so much fun. I'm super excited about this podcast. I love this idea. Thank you for being here.
This was a great conversation. Thank you, Nikki.
That's all for today here on CityCast Austin. You can find links to KUT's podcast, 24 Hours in Austin, in our show notes. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell a friend, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Austin newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye, y'all.